Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Today we have a great video lined up for you, as we are going to be speculating on Cardano's bear market now officially have ended. That would suggest that 24 cents was the low for this bear market for Cardano, and that we don't revisit those prices anytime soon. Now, you will know already that I think, and we took a position back into the markets in January for the first time, really since the start of 2022 when we got out of the markets. We think broadly now is as good a time as ever, or back then was as good a time as ever, and I still think there's plenty of opportunity ahead of us for the cryptocurrency market generally. We do believe that Bitcoin is now heading to the upside. We've got 35K as a target, and then 40. And I think ultimately, altcoins are on the same kind of journey. I believe that for now, the Cardano bear market low was 24 cents. And ultimately, there is a very good chance of upside. And if I think the rest of the market is now entering what could be a bull market, we have the technical reasonality before this. And now we're getting the kind of macro marry up with our reasoning to suspect upside and continuation, which we've been spot on about. I don't think Cardano is necessarily going to get left behind. So I think actually and what I want to do in this video, this is going to be purely price specific, although great fundamental update, guys. We've really been talking a lot about this kind of layer 2 sidechain vision for Cardano, and I think this was always the vision actually on reflection. But this brings a world of possibility. We're already seeing quite a few of these sort of layer 2s and side chains come to life, whether it be Marlow, which was on mainnet the other day, whether it be Hydra, which is also on mainnet, whether it be Milkamita's EVM. A lot of really exciting things taking place. But if you guys want a really good, well-rounded update, please do go and watch Charles Hoskinson's recent video. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name. However, it was a really good one. It kind of gives an overview of everything that's taking place right now, and there's a lot of reason to be excited. But technically, we've been speculated at the start of the year on taking a position back in the market. Fundamentally, I think that, of course, we've got to check what the overall crypto market's doing, and we think there's a positive outlook for that. But fundamentally, with Cardano specifically, there is lots of reasons, more so now than at any other point, to be bullish on this blockchain. So we think that warrants potentially, or is a contributing factor to why I'm essentially calling the bottom at 24K. We couldn't call it in January because it's far too soon, but I think the price largely, and what Cardano is really showing me at the moment and actually setting up for, I think on balance of probabilities is very likely to be upside. We can also take a look at Cardano's market dominance, which is at a very low point. You're seeing a common theme here with it, not just in terms of dominance, but against Bitcoin and, of course, Ethereum, which I think is very interesting. You know, you're at this kind of point here, which historically you've bounced from. So are we going to see Cardano really start to catch up and actually outperform for a period? I think it's quite likely. I do think against Bitcoin, there is the potential for a little bit more downside, although I did look at Bitcoin dominance earlier, which looks like it could be about to roll if history is anything to go by. But we can also look at a number of things. So let's get into the video, guys. Again, if you want a sort of broad update on the fundamentals, this is purely price specific. And let's start off with this. I posted this earlier. I said, where are we at? Now, this is the Wall Street cheat sheet. You will see that not just the cryptocurrency markets, but generally markets move in a kind of cheat sheet fashion. Now, if I was to apply this to Cardano today, and where I would say, moving up the time frames and taking the draw off, where I would say we're at, I'd say we're moving into sort of a disbelief phase. So I think potentially the low is in. We've seen depression. I think everyone felt pretty depressed at 24 cents. And ultimately, I now think we are in a disbelief phase. And this is generally what I think is to come for the cryptocurrency market broadly. We've done lots and lots. And if you don't already watch my daily cryptocurrency market updates, please do so. They're well worth a watch. I know we've got a lot of ADA fans out there. But I honestly think that this 24 cents level is the low for this bear market. I think this bear market is broadly over. One thing that I'm really watching for, I often use the Heikin-Ashi candles. We certainly looked at the Heikin-Ashi candles. It was one reason why we put money back into the markets, was a change in these Heikin-Ashi candles. You are now changing into green on the monthly. 3 monthly is going to be very interesting. This 3 monthly chart actually very well sort of captures bull and bear markets. So I'm looking for a change on this, just one level of confluence. But in regards to Cardano's actual price action, it's doing some very, very interesting things, which we'll get into. So initially, I did think that we stood a very good chance of breaking out here. Let's get rid of this. This is now a daily chart. We've gone right up to the immediate sort of price structure that we're in. You know, this, of course, was the FTX spill, which the whole market suffered from. So we've formed... And I initially thought maybe this is some kind of a, you know, we haven't got this perfect neckline, but maybe this was the neckline and that we were going to squeeze and break through. We didn't do that. However, I think we've had a long enough rejection from what could now be a key neckline. It's not great for the simple reason that the right shoulder is larger than the left shoulder. You typically want your right shoulder to be weaker than your left shoulder. It kind of gives confluence to the pattern before it actually happens. But you can see actually now we're rejecting here. So I'm not calling for a break of this immediately, but what I am saying, you know, I wouldn't be against this maybe having another rejection or, you know, doing something like that. What I am saying is this level, in my opinion, is going to get tough. I think we've got the macro behind us now. I think we've got the general direction of the cryptocurrency market behind us now. And ultimately, I think Cardano is very much set for upside. When will it start to outperform other altcoins? I think if you look at ADA, BTC, I think this has potentially got a little bit lower to go. Potentially. I think you could run into these areas, but it is at a low point. And you could maybe at a push call for some sort of falling wedge or structure along those lines. I know that's a lot more apparent in regards to dominance. You could maybe call for it. It's a bit of a stretch, but ultimately what a falling wedge is really showing you is a constriction in terms of price action and volatility, which could mean that it's ripe for a break. So this is something to watch in terms of when Cardano starts to outperform its altcoins or other altcoins and Bitcoin. Very interesting that it's at a low point and a very low point for Ethereum. And this is typically a turning point. And if we look at dominance, also at a very, very low point. You know, so these are potentially ripe to start changing. I think likely the path forward is, and we think that Bitcoin's on this kind of 5-wave structure. Just to get rid of that, and we'll get rid of this. That it's leading the market with, you'll notice Ethereum is further ahead than most altcoins. And when I talk about most altcoins, I'm talking about, for example, Polkadot, that is still sort of consolidating around this resistance area, whereas Bitcoin has actually taken it. Bitcoin's head and shoulders was down here, and it's proceeded on from that. You could maybe say that there was one for Ethereum. But ultimately, Cardano is still yet to take this key level. You know, if you look at this, this was support, broken it, fell through the door, came and retested it, which really validates this key level where we're currently at. Then you've rejected from it, and you can see it then acted as resistance. Do you flip this? I think it's a matter of when, not if. You could, of course, have a little bit of a rejection before you sort of wind up and look for that upside. But ultimately, I think that Cardano is very much set for that upside. And if we were to just take, you know, this is the neckline and look for, what are we on here? Upside. This is potentially, and the nice thing about this is, you know, you're looking at a 60 cents Cardano. I think that's likely where you're going to get to. Remember, I think the journey that you go on to get there is some sort of a 5-wave Elliott wave structure. I like Elliott wave theory on the broader time frames. I think it captured, and I'll show you something on Bitcoin in just a second, the sort of market movement pretty well generally. You know, if this is your one wave, which is 81%, Your two waves going to be bigger. So even if it was just 81%, it's getting you to sort of the 53 cents range. It's not out of the realms of possibility to suggest it's going to be 100. Third wave typically the largest. And then we'll see where you end up. And I actually don't think I think it's well within the realms of possibility. Certainly that Cardano runs back to the sort of 80 cents range. But actually, I potentially see us coming back into this kind of area here, the $1 range. I think, and this is a broad prediction, you could see a $1 Cardano by the end of the year. Potentially. We'll see. I'm not saying that you should bet the farm on that. I'm saying let's deal with sort of the 60 cents area, 80 cents, and then we'll see where it goes to. But I really do think there's been a sort of macro shift. I think there's been a shift generally. And I think that, you can derive that from the rates market. You can derive that from the Fed and what they're now saying and where they're at. You can derive that from the charts generally. It's not just Bitcoin and crypto that's doing well. Gold's doing well. The S&P's doing well. The fact that Cardano is at a low point against all its pairs, I think, is very interesting. Where do you think we are generally in this cycle? Hopefully, that's given you a little bit of insight. Remember, and to be totally transparent, we did accumulate Cardano and have been accumulating Cardano this year. Obviously, getting out of it in 2022 for the bear market. Not perfectly, but at an early stage, and ultimately have a position back in this market. So my money is where my mouth is. I genuinely do believe that Cardano may have bottomed and 24 cents may be the low, but time will be the ultimate teacher. On that note, guys, I'm going to love and leave you. Don't forget to go and give Charles Hoskinson's recent video a watch. If you guys want to support me and the channel, I do have a stake pool. All in is the ticker. I also have a Patreon if anybody wants to really take their investment and trading game to the next level. All I've got for you in this video, guys. If you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So as a comment, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next.